And tonight on the Daily Wrap, a pair of historical Supreme Court rulings have America talking and politicians, well, politicking. Is Donald Trump's TV career over at NBC? More email troubles for Hillary Clinton. And another GOP candidate now set to enter an already crowded race for the White House. We'll tell you why he is winning, no doubt. All that and more. This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, along with my co-host, Rick Unger from The Ohio State University.
Ohio State University. Big day coming for The Ohio State University.
Yes.
Your main man. Going to do his thing there.
Went to that school, will announce there.
Go Bucks.
And go Bucks, indeed.
Go Bucks.
So does that mean he gets your support?
No.
Very good. She is America's pundit and Philly attorney, Heather Hansen, looking quite yellow tonight.
A little bright.
And finally, he is a Forbes.com columnist, and you're not, and also an Emmy winner as well. Good for you.
And my tie matches her
That's
blazer.
right.
That's even more.
Landed.
You guys
Well
spoke
done.
earlier.
That's
I see.
All right.
Okay.
Mercifully, let's get to the daily download. And in an open act of defiance, the Supreme Court, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is telling county clerks they can refuse marriage licenses to same-sex couples if it goes against the clerk's religious beliefs. In a statement, Paxton, a Republican, and we quote, "Texas must speak with one voice against this lawlessness and act on multiple levels to further protect religious liberties for all Texans, but most immediately do anything we can do to help our county clerks and public officials who now are forced with defending their religious beliefs against the court ruling," unquote. Paxton warns clerks that they could be sued, but say many lawyers stand ready to defend them, like Heather Hansen, on a pro bono basis. She didn't say that.
Oh, no, pro bono,
Yeah, good point.
Not for free.
At $175 an hour. Paxton's instructions come after that split landmark ruling declaring same-sex marriage the law of the land. Is this just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to challenges to the Supreme Court decision, Mr. Unger?
Well, you know what's interesting, I think, about the Texas situation, technically, if you went in for a license tomorrow, a gay couple, and they were refused, they'd still be okay, the county clerks, because until the circuit court there, remember the ruling actually spoke to the Sixth Circuit. So, you know, at some point the Fifth Circuit's going to have to reverse, if I don't know which way they went, but they're going to have to affirm or reverse similar cases, and then it will certainly be the law in Texas. And then you got to remember that these people took an oath. Every county employee takes an oath to defend the Constitution. So they'll be in big trouble if they don't do it. And is it the tip of the iceberg? Absolutely.
Would you take that case? I forget the pro bono part. But
listen, I don't know if I would take the county clerk's case, but I do think that there are cases out there that are definitely going to be able to. Because listen, you've got an argument against what the majority decision here said was a fundamental right, the right to marriage. It's not written anywhere into the Constitution. It was arguably sort of created by public opinion, as opposed to the First Amendment right to religion and exercise of religion. And it is going to spawn any number of cases.
Will it shock you if I disagree with what you just said?
Not one
Will you
bit.
be stunned
Not
beyond
even
belief?
a little bit
They were
stunned.
absolutely right in their interpretation. It is a constitutional right under the 14th Amendment.
I'm not saying that they're not, but what I'm saying is it's not written into
it's
there.
not.
And
It's
the
not.
First
But it
Amendment
is the law
clearly
now.
says that you have the right to exercise your religion. So when you are taking the two
I agree.
and creating a
Those are
balance,
the
there's
cases
going
that
to be
will come.
That's
Those
Mr.
are the
Tucker.
cases
But
that will come.
for me, the conflict is religious liberties in public office. These are public officials. These are not rabbis. These are not pastors
disagree.
who have a diligence to their conscience, who
Or
have a duty to their
bakers
conscience, or
or-
bakers, or anyone else. These are officials of the state who've taken an oath. I don't know how they get away with saying, no, we're not going to give it to you unless they slip through that little window that Rick is
Well,
talking
It'll
about.
be very short-lived.
And that's why I wouldn't take that case. But there are cases for people who actually are within the church or bakers, even in the right circumstances, where, and listen, Mike Lee has got a law out there for the First Amendment protection. This is going to be a major issue going
Mike
forward.
Lee, Utah Republican?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just explain that quickly.
He's got there's a law pending that he's proposed to have a First Amendment protection to make sure that we find a way. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but find a way to balance this right to be married versus the right to exercise, not just teach and advocate, but
By the way,
exercise your
Mike Lee's
religion.
law will not pass
I
the
agree.
Senate, so it's not going to be something
More
we have to
symbolic
worry
than
about.
anything else,
Yeah.
certainly. Meanwhile, 2016 Republican hopeful and former Southern Baptist minister, his name is Mike Huckabee, he is blasting the Supreme Court decision and says the ruling may lead to widespread civil disobedience.
I don't think a lot of pastors and Christian schools are going to have a choice. They either are going to follow God, their conscience, and what they truly believe is what the Scripture teaches them, or they will follow civil law. They will go the path of Dr. Martin Luther King, who in his brilliant essay, The Letters from a Birmingham Jail, reminded us, based on what St. Augustine said, that an unjust law is no law at all.
Now, Governor Huckabee calls this judicial tyranny. Did the Supreme Court go too far, Mr. Tucker?
No. No, I happen to be a Christian. I happen to be a member of a congregation in a church where gay couples are welcome. They're part of our community and our congregation. There's no religious conflict whatsoever. There is conflict within different branches of Christianity as to whether this is okay or not. And I understand that discussion because I am related to some people who are disturbed by it and who don't think it's right. It doesn't make them bad people, but it is the law.
Yeah, also understand, you can think that the Supreme Court went too far, but the Supreme Court can't go too far.
That's right.
What they say is the law,
That's
period.
right. And to be thinking that it went too far is all well and good, but if you want to win the next election, I think that the Republicans need to get it together on the social issues and start to understand that what's done is done and it's time to move forward.
We're
pretty
going to talk
sure they
about
won't.
the way we're going to talk about the right way to answer this in a little bit, but I think one candidate, or at least a candidate coming out soon, probably got it right. One final question for you. Are we now looking at a liberal Supreme Court?
Yes.
No.
Oh, Rick, I did the research on this today.
Look,
and
but look at their decisions today. They shoot down an EPA regulation.
Of the 10 most
I think you're looking at
important
a
decisions-
fairer Supreme Court.
Of the really interesting thing is, of the 10 most important decisions of this session, 7 were found in a more liberal way. But the really interesting thing that just shows how open-minded the more conservative people are, the number of times that the conservatives went to the liberal side as opposed to the number, I think it's 3 times as many times
But that
as the
doesn't make it
liberal
a
went
more
to the
liberal court. It
conservative
means that the cases that came before them called for that result. Here's what I'm saying to my liberal friends. You need to cut the Supreme Court a break, because every time they've ruled in a way that the liberals don't like,
Right.
then they start charging, oh, political bias, this and that. Well, it is fair for you to say that they are certainly not biased against the liberals.
Last word.
But they are being fair.
Listen, if you're saying that the members themselves aren't more liberal, I guess I'd agree. But their decisions this session were definitely more liberal.
I think that's right. They called for it.
Absolutely. Speaking of ministers, Lutheran minister Mark Dankoff blames the Supreme Court same-sex ruling on the Jews. He told reporters in Iran, that's you, Rick, that Jewish influence and money are being used to destroy Christian values and cultures. So this is like a Mel Brooks skit. Are the Jews to blame? Rick Unger.
Well, look, the Jews are always to blame. I mean, come on. We're laughing, but I got to tell you, when I saw this story this morning, this is how it begins. This is how bad things begin to happen in the world. When religious figures like Mr. Danoff, who I wish we could get him on the show because I have a few things I'd like to discuss with him, when they start this and people listen to this, and the next thing you know, some really bad things start happening.
You're
I mean,
Christian, correct? Just so we could preface your comments.
But
Okay, thank
either way, I mean, when you're blaming things on Christian Jews, right now we've got problems, real problems with Christianity, where
Yeah.
people going against Christianity. So either way, no, this is absolutely not to blame on the Jews. It's not to blame on anyone. It's adaptation to what's going on in the world.
And
You're
it's
right
the
about
law. It is
Right.
the Constitution. The Constitution has always permitted this. We just recognized it finally.
I'm pretty sure ISIS would blame Christians or Jews in almost any situation.
You're right. I agree.
Okay, great. Not surprisingly, 2016 hopeful Donald Trump has spoken out in favor of traditional marriage. But CNN's Jake Tapper asked him, what's so traditional about being married 3 times?
Well, they have a very good point. But, you know, I've been a very hard-working person. I have a great marriage. I have a great wife now. And my 2 wives were very good. And I don't blame them. But I was working, maybe like you, 22 hours a day.
I'm not asking you to explain your divorces,
No, I know.
but
I'm just saying I blame myself because my business was so powerful for me. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Okay, Mr. Trump, 3 times is a charm, seems very happy. Did you think the question was fair?
I thought the question was completely fair under the circumstances, and now I want to find one of those bakers who will not bake a cake for a gay wedding and find out if they would have baked a cake for Trump, because that's against their religion too.
Well, I mean, I think that that's unfair. I think that when you start denigrating these gay
Sorry,
bakers.
we got to go.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. My bad. More Daily Wrap in just a moment.